Hello friends, I'm back after not having made a video for like an entire year. But today, I'm gonna review some new awesome Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles figures! Woo! So, for those of you wondering where I've been, I've been right here. I've just been super lazy, not making videos. But I am not dead. To paraphrase a favorite movie of mine, I'm alive, you guys, and I always will be. Anyways, let's start taking a look at the sculpt on some of these guys. And we're going to start with the first turtle in the ninja rap, Leonardo. Leonardo, Michelangelo, and Donatello head out the team with one of the fellow, Raphael, who's the leader of the group. That line is finally true, like 28 years later. That's crazy. Oh, speaking of time, guys, happy 2019. I haven't seen you for so long, but let's look at the sculpt on these guys. And now, one thing I noticed with all four turtles is the sculpt's kind of broken up at the hips here for the sake of articulation, but I actually like that. So, overall, the sculpt, I mean, there's not much to complain about. Stuff that should be sculpted is sculpted on Leonardo. I have no problems with Leonardo, really. The art style's kind of stylistic, so, I mean, like, look at his eyes on his head. They're kind of flat, but that's how they are in the cartoon, so I can't complain about it. Sculpt on Leonardo's perfect. I really don't have any complaints, except that there's all this text on his belt here, but, you know, that's legal stuff. Can't do anything about that. Next up is Michelangelo. Now, Michelangelo's head sculpt is a little weird because his teeth are in this sort of smiling, gritting pose, and I don't know, Michelangelo's a goofball. He's also my favorite turtle, by the way, and, like, he really should be smiling or laughing or something. But, you know, the rest of his sculpt on the body's pretty much the same as Leo, but they are different bodies. Like, every turtle does have a different body. There might be some part reuses, like those upper arms look pretty similar. But, I mean, the lower arms are different because he doesn't have Leo's gauntlets. The lower legs are definitely different. The shells are definitely different. Leo has a totally different angular shape to him, because all the turtles are different species in this show, actually. The back of the shell looks kind of similar, but it's different again. Everything's different on these guys. So there's no reuse stuff, which is, I mean, they didn't do that for the 2012 show, but they sure did it for other shows, like the 2003 show, the 80s show. I think they did some of that. But Michelangelo's sculpt's pretty perfect. No complaints. Now we can look at Donatello. In the show, Donatello's head is super elongated and it looks kind of weird, but on the toy it's not nearly as bad. Like, his head is longer than everybody else's head, but it's way less exaggerated than it is on the show. And the rest of his sculpt, I mean, there's some sloppy stuff going on here where he got pulled out of the mold, but, like, I don't know, it doesn't bug me so much. The rest of his sculpt's pretty spot on. What is that? That's some sloppy mold leftover stuff, I think. And the weird thing about Donatello is you can take this shell off to reveal, if I can get it off, a smaller shell, because he's a soft shell turtle in the show. And so I guess he needs this protection, but, like, I mean, he didn't need to protect the rest of his body from, whatever. I mean, he just wants the shell to be like the rest of his brothers. I don't really like how the sculpt on the fake shell is, like, broken up with these holes, but that's for an accessory, and we'll get to that when we get to it. No real complaints on Donnie's sculpt. He's awesome! Finally, we get to the leader of the group, this time around. For now. Until someone else takes over, maybe. I don't know. Raphael has a lot of sculpted details going on. This bandage on his chest is actually a raised sculpted detail, which is cool. All his bandages are raised, and he's got these little bumpy things sculpted into his shoulders none of the other turtles had. I mean, Raphael is sort of becoming like the star of the show, and he's kind of the star of the action figures, because he's bigger than everybody else. I mean, not as bigger as he is on the show. He's like 3 times their size on the show. But here he's like, you know, half-inch bigger at least than everybody else. Now, the only real complaint I have with Raph's sculpt is down here on the leg, this leg, there's a bandage. And, I mean, maybe it's more a paint complaint that it should be painted, but if you're not going to paint it, playmates, don't sculpt it, right? Other than that, Raphael's pretty good. Okay, next up is the paint, just in case you guys don't know how things work around here. And if you don't know how things work around here, you must be a new viewer. So welcome to the show. We're happy to have you, friend. Anyways, first up, Leonardo. The first thing you're going to notice about Leo is he has these red lines on his face. That is because he is a red-eared slider in the show. Now, I don't know why they chose to make Leonardo have these red things on his face and make him a red-eared slider when, like, you know, the turtle who wears red might have him on his face, but whatever. That's what the show did, and so that's what the toy did, and it's fine. There's no real paint slop on Leonardo, and there's nothing obviously missing, although all these Raised details on the back of the shell should probably be painted, but it's no big deal. You'll kind of notice all this sculpted stuff where this should probably be yellow or beige or something because it's part of the shell, the inner shell. I remember on like old Turtles designs in the 80s, that was like a brown part, but you hardly ever notice it. So the paint's okay, it's acceptable. This is Playmates. Acceptable is the name of the game. But Michelangelo's paint scheme is a little bit different. He has the orange, obviously, and some orange there, and some orange there, and orange, and orange, and orange, and then that's it. No, wait, it isn't. He's got these weird pink triangles and blue slashes on his shell, and you might be wondering, why is that? Well, the answer is on the back of the box. If you'll notice, it says, Mikey has a wild, colorful personality. So they decided to make him literally colorful, I guess. He is an artist and spends his time tagging the turtle's lair and his shell with graffiti. He's an eternal optimist and an absolute natural ninjutsu, blah, 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 blah. Question. How do you tag your own shell with graffiti? Like, he can't even reach back there, you know, because he's an action figure. And in real life, people can kind of reach their backs, but good luck painting something on your back and having someone recognize it. And incidentally, if you look at the back of the packaging, you'll see all this stuff on the back of his shell. His little shoulder and his hip there should have, like, glowy paint, I guess, but there's none to be found. There's just these two decals, that's it. But, you know, honestly, that kind of makes Michelangelo look like the older designs of Michelangelo. So I don't mind that one bit. I'd kind of be happy if these weren't even here, honestly, but they don't bother me that much. What does bother me, however, is those knee pads. If you'll notice, someone at Playmates decided, hey, Michelangelo's knee pads are round and orange and they look like pumpkins, so let's put jack-o'-lantern designs on them, I guess? I don't know, but there are different faces on each one, and you're hardly going to notice because they didn't paint them. Some paint details would have really helped the sculpt pop out on the knee pads, I think. But otherwise, Mikey's paint is clean. It's, again, acceptable. Taking a look at Donatello now, he's got this thing, these binoculars or spectrograph Ghostbusters binocular things on his head. I don't know what they are. The paint's fairly clean on them. I mean, it's a little blurry at the edge where the gray meets the purple, but it is acceptable. What it could have really used is some kind of wash or a few more details to help bring out, like, all the techie design stuff in there, but it's Playmates. What did you expect? The straps on his wrists are actually really clean. That's pretty impressive considering how small they are and how close together they are. Over here, the gauntlet, which is like a, you know, some kind of fancy cartoon PDA tricorder magic computer on your wrist thing, that could have used some details. Like, you couldn't give us a sticker or a decal, Playmates, to show like, oh, all this little spectrograph analysis and, you know, wavy lines to sciencey stuff. Where's my sciencey stuff? Last and not least, in fact, he's actually the most out of this wave, out of the show and out of the figures, Raphael. His paint's pretty clean. There aren't any complaints, really. Maybe the shoulders could have had something to bring out the detail on the bumpies, but you kind of notice them without that. It's not a big deal. The wraps and the pads and the belts are all cleanly painted. No problems there. Again, the only real problem is that bandage should totally be painted, Playmates. But you didn't paint it, so why did you sculpt it? Should have just left that off. Otherwise, I mean, everybody's kind of adequate. Everybody has some small issue. Leonardo's probably got the best paint, because he's got, like, the fewest problems that you'll notice. Like, what is he missing, really? Michelangelo's missing those other designs. Raphael, that bandage. Donatello, that blank wrist communicator thing. And the binoculars. They really lack some detail. But everybody's paint's acceptable. If I had to say someone's the best, though, it's probably Leonardo. Okie dokie, friends. Now let's look at that articulation. So, all the turtles have kind of the same articulation, but it's all kind of different. It's kind of like the turtles themselves. They're all kind of the same. They're all kind of different, especially in this show. Everybody gets ball joint head. Here's Leo's. Can move pretty good up and down. Can go all around. Everybody has hinge and swivel shoulders. They can get 90 degrees, no problemo. Let's focus on Leo. Dumb camera. And go 360, of course. The back shell gets in the way a little bit on Leonardo. Everybody gets those Marvel Legends style hinge and swivel elbows. And then everybody has some sort of swivel after that. Leo's is at the gauntlet on both of his arms. And there's no waist or anything articulation. Now again, at the hips, they have these hinge and swivel sort of ball hips. And I've never seen turtle figures that break up the sculpt so much right there, but I love it because they can get pretty high with their legs now. Finally, they can like get to sitting poses. They also have hinge and swivel knees, the knees swivel, yeah. And then everybody gets hinge, although the hinge doesn't move too much, hinge and swivel feet. Michelangelo has the same style of articulation, hinge and swivel elbows, shoulders. He swivels at the wrist, actually, not the gauntlet, because he doesn't have gauntlets. He's got a ball joint head that goes all the way around, and his tiny bandana does not get in the way at all. He can go up and down, not as good as Leonardo, but pretty close. Hinged hips that swivel. I feel like Michelangelo's limbs are a little thinner, so he can get a bit of a better range. And his hinge and swivel knees are covered by that knee pad. And hinge and swivel feet too, of course. Now let's grab Donatello. And big surprise, his articulation is pretty much exactly the same. Ball joint head. Gets good range, it feels like. Can go all the way around. Hinge and swivel shoulders. He goes above 90 degrees. That's pretty cool right there. Hinge and swivel elbows. Swivels at the wrist. No hinges at the wrist, just swivels. Hinge and swivel hips. Knees. And feet. Wow, his feet go up high. Donatello's got much better articulation than Leonardo. Michelangelo, too. And lastly, it's the big man, Raphael. That ball joint on his head, I mean, it's pathetic. He might as well just have a swivel, but his is way stiffer than his brother's. Although I guess they're not genetically brothers anymore because they're all different species. But whatever, it's a new show. Get over it, guys. It's pretty funny, actually. And you can't really, I mean, I guess you could probably twist his head all the way around, but you don't want to because the bandana hits this wall back here. His shell comes up like a wall behind him, and it's pretty difficult to spin him all the way around, although you're not really going to want to do that anyway. His shoulders are hinge and swivel. They don't come up as high as Donatello's. He's got hinge and swivel elbows, and just swivels at the wrists. Both wrists. Although his left wrist, this one, is kind of loose. Maybe that's because I ripped him out of the packaging too roughly. Hinge and swivel hips. He doesn't come up as high as anybody else. Knees and feet are hinge and swivel too. Raphael's a bit bulkier, so his articulation's a bit more limited, especially at like the hips and the head, but that's a design thing. Articulation's pretty good on all these. We've seen a lot worse from Playmates. This is pretty good overall. So here is what everybody's packaging looked like. They all have this really blocky artwork from the new show, and it says Nickelodeon, as if you didn't know which channel you could watch it on. And it's funny, Michelangelo's the only one who gets this sticker that says, you can earn pizza points for prizes, but if you look on the bottom, they all have that pizza point thing going on. Anyways, let's open up the first guy, Leonardo. I'm just gonna rip this flap here. I hate when this happens and there's all this cardboard still here. Leo's in a tray that comes out super easy. Then the twist ties on these guys, they're, you can't just pull them and break them. They're really awful. Gosh. You really gotta go get a knife or scissors or something like that and you... Oh wait, they kind of untie. That's weird. Wait, let me try to untie this one. This one is... They're twisted up really good. But they're not bendy wires. Very weird. Okay, there we go. There aren't really twist ties on him. Mostly around his sword and all his little accessories. Even twist ties around a little shuriken? That's odd. Come on, Playmates, you gotta do better than that. This is craziness. I don't want to undo these a million times. Oh man, come on, I even got it out of the packaging already, and it was designed to hold it in the packaging. Now I can't just get it, twist it off. This is taking forever. I am pathetic. Finally. Don't undo the twist ties. Just like yank them out. Ah! Leo had 5 of these horrible twist ties. I hope the rest of the turtles aren't that bad. Now let's see how bad my favorite turtle, Michelangelo, is packaged in there. Well, he opened better than Leo. Oh my god, stickers! Did Leonardo have stickers? I totally missed that. I'm gonna go back and check. No, Leonardo didn't get stickers. No stickers on the front about pizza points. No stickers inside. Oh, Michelangelo gets stickers. Oh my gosh, looks like a million twist ties. I'll just try to break them all this time. Oh, so none of these twist ties really cut if you try and pull them with a knife, but a knife will kind of just pull them apart really easy. It's much easier than twisting them apart. I suggest you all do that. Unlike Leonardo, Michelangelo has a couple twist ties around his feet, but you can just kind of yank him free. Wow. Oh, and there's one around his wrist. It was hidden by this flap in the packaging. So now Michelangelo's free, sort of, I guess. Next up is Donatello, of course. But Donatello's package is glued a little tighter than everybody else. See, that's glued really tight! No stickers, unfortunately. There are more twist ties, darn it! And these twist ties I've been whining about, they're not even like bendy wires, they're just like plastic that's been wrapped around, and so they're kind of hard to unwrap, and I don't know, just pull them, but they suck, they're awful. I mean, ugh. Thankfully, unlike Mikey, Donnie's only got 1 twist tie on him, but there's a bunch more on his accessories, of course. But, pull that wrist out. Get that wrist out. Yeah. You didn't break your little wrist, did you, Donnie? Finally, Raphael. He's the leader of the group, of course. Sort of. In this one, he is at least. Ah, like Donatello, his glue is pretty strong. Oh, wow, it's really strong. I might, wow, I might have to cut this guy open. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm just gonna cut his stuff open because it's ridiculously strong on there. Wow. Well, this stinks. Raph has twist ties at the wrists, the waist, and the other wrist, so I don't think you can just pull them out. Let's try. No, you're gonna need to undo those. That sucks. Raphael is out. Where the heck are his size, though? I mean, what the heck? Inside the packaging, each turtle also comes with this little advert for Playmates! People have been making Turtles figures for, gosh, like 30 years or something now, right? You can see other figures in the wave. There's April and, what's this? The heck? Playmates stock. Oh, this is the pizza points. I think only Mikey came with this, or I don't know. Did anybody else come with this? I don't see this in anyone else's little booklet. Maybe Mikey is the only one with pizza points. Well, I don't know what pizza points are, so if anyone wants them, they can have them right here. Anyways, back to that booklet. You can see the other figures in the wave. April, Fat Splinter, and Meat Sweats, and all the bad guys. And some vehicles they've got. Play sets, role play stuff. The other side, we got action turtles, and I guess those are giant turtles? Yeah, giant figures is what it says. Felt like Jakks Pacific made the giant turtles. Oh, and here's some info about pizza points. And then here's some cool artwork for the Rise of the Turtles. The artwork's, I mean, it's very different, but I do kind of like it for this show. Okay, so everybody's free now, and I gotta say, while I like the packaging, Playmates, it's just so horrible inside. I mean, when I say I like it, I like the way it looks. It's real easy to find your favorite turtle just by looking at the card art, but other than that, the insides, I mean, look at the mess this thing caused. That was some pretty awful twist tie stuff going on inside, but it looks nice. Okay guys, packaging may have been a pain in the butt, but I think it was worth it to get all these awesome accessories. Every turtle comes with quite a bit of stuff. First up, let's take a look at Leo's stuff. The very first thing he comes with is not a katana. It is an odachi, which is basically just another sword. I really like the detailing on the handle here. And then he gets a mystical ninja power version of the same sword. It's all translucent blue. Looks pretty cool. And he comes with a skateboard, which is not mystical, but translucent blue for some reason. I don't know why it's see-through, but it looks nice. And like every turtle in the wave, he comes with 2 shuriken, which don't look quite like shuriken. They look like mechanized shuriken, but they're all right. So Leonardo can hold his Odachi fine in either hand, although it does feel a little looser in his right hand, like just kind of wants to pry out kind of easy, but he gets a good grip between the thumb and the fourth finger. It definitely fits better in his left hand, however. The mystical version sword doesn't really fit well in either. It kind of wants to do that, like that's what this sword was doing, only not as extreme. And unfortunately, the mystical sword just doesn't fit well in either hand, I find. It just, maybe it's too heavy, too top heavy, just wants to fly out all the time. But the first sword's pretty great, and I'm going to display him with that one all the time anyway. So I like this one, no problems with that one. The other one just pops out, unfortunately. Now you would expect Michelangelo to come with a skateboard, but Leonardo does too. He's got pegs on both of his feet, so he can get on there either way, whichever way you want, and it rolls. It's pretty good, I think. I mean, I don't know why Leonardo has it, because I guess they sort of made Leonardo's personality a lot more like Michelangelo's in this show, so why not give him a skateboard too? And lastly, those shuriken that all the turtles get can fit all right in both of Leo's hands. They fit really well. They're not going anywhere. I wonder why he can hold these so good and not his own sword. But oh, those are all of Leo's accessories, and they're pretty good. So up next, Michelangelo does not have his normal classic nunchucks. Instead, he has this triple nunchuck thing. It's got a pretty cool design on it, if I can actually focus on it. A lot like Leo's handle on his sword. In fact, I read that Michelangelo has Kusari Fundo in this show, which I guess is the triple nunchuck thing, although I'm not too sure about the name on that. And then he also has a couple other nunchucks that they have the same design on the handle, but then they got these gadgets coming out the other end. It's like a razor blade yo-yo going on this one, and a punching glove going on this one. I'm pretty sure these are not real weapons. They're like Green Lantern weapons, constructs or something, I don't know. But all the weapons are cast in a translucent orange plastic. They all look pretty good. Michelangelo doesn't get a non-translucent one, so I guess all his weapons are mystical. And then Michelangelo gets this skateboard, which is also not translucent. Like, all of Michelangelo's weapons are translucent, but his skateboard isn't, even though Leonardo's is. This is actually a different sculpt than Leonardo's. I mean, I'm kind of surprised with that. Like, Playmates kind of went the extra mile on these skateboards when they probably didn't have to, actually making different molds instead of just different colors. And then the almost last thing he gets is the shuriken, which, just like Leonardo, he can hold fine in both of his hands. But the real last thing Michelangelo comes with are these stickers, which I guess are for his skateboard, maybe, but then Leonardo came with a skateboard and he didn't get any stickers, so maybe these are for Mikey's shell, since he's a graffiti artist, and maybe they're just for whatever you want to put them on. I mean, they didn't come with any instructions, so I guess you can just put whatever, wherever. Getting back to the weapons, Michelangelo can hold that triple nunchuck thing just fine, although like Leo, the weapon tends to want to pivot between his thumb and forefinger. It doesn't, I mean, this third finger does nothing pretty much to add to stability, but he can hold it well enough. I mean, you can even get like two-handed poses if you want. Just snap that in there and ha, he's ready to fight. And it's pretty much the same deal with the other weapons, since they all have like the same size handles. The grips are not as tight as you would like, but they do get the job done. Although they're kind of too loose, but they're good enough. Like I said, Playmates. The word is acceptable. Now the brains of the group, Donatello, gets a bow staff, which is not mystical, but it's teched out. It's got gadgets in it, and mine's kind of warped. I want to make that straighter, but it's, you know, it's really lacking detail. It's not cast, doesn't have any, it's not cast in purple. It doesn't have any purple parts, unlike Leo's handle and Mikey's stuff. And even though Donnie did not get a mystic weapon, his bow staff still has this translucent purple variant, which, I don't know, it looks nice, so it's just kind of weird that it's translucent when it's not a mystic weapon. Then Donatello gets this hovering backpack thing, this thing with jets, and it clips into his shell, like so, through those little holes we saw earlier, and he can pop it out and fly away. I don't know if that's on backwards or not. Let me try it the other way. I think it was right the first way. And lastly, he gets those same shuriken as his brothers, of course. Don't forget, he does also come with that shell that can pop off. It's sort of a backpack thing. I mean, you can leave it on all the time because that's what Donatello does, and he looks a lot better with it, I think. Donnie's bow staff actually fits in his hands much better than the other turtles' weapons so far. Oh, I'm going to speak of the devil and it just falls out. But I feel like it's a lot thicker, so it doesn't have that pivot problem as bad as the other turtles. And same thing goes for his mystic bow staff. He can hold it in both hands really well, or just his left hand pretty well. It's not going anywhere. Oh! Okay, it does have the pivot problem, but it feels a little bit better than the other turtles. And finally, Raphael. He's a leader of the group. Raphael does not have Sai in the show. I mean, he does, but he gets rid of him, I guess. Instead, he has 2 tonfas. They're brown. Kind of boring. I mean, where's the red on the handles and stuff like that? Like Leonardo and Michelangelo got their colors on their weapons. Whatever. And then Raphael also comes with these mystic versions of his tonfa, only they're not his tonfa. They go around his entire fist, which I think is kind of cool. You just pop them on, and the tonfas go underneath the arms, in case you didn't know. And they're translucent, and they're fine, but I'm not really going to use them. I'm just going to pose them with his normal tonfas. And the very last thing is, of course, those shuriken, just like his other brothers. They fit fine in his hands. Raph's tonfas, however, are kind of not so good in his hands. I mean, like, you can really get him to hold them great like this, like as if he was using them as substitutes for size, which he kind of is in the show. But, you know, tonfas are supposed to be held by this handle and under the hand, and that's not happening in the right hand. And it's not happening in the left hand either. I mean, what the heck, Playmates? You couldn't make his hands a little different? You had to make them so open for the mystic weapon gimmick thing? I mean, he can't... Look how the mystic weapon's holding it underneath the hand. Like that, like you should. And he can't do it with the real weapon. I mean... And not to mention, Raphael comes with the fewest accessories out of the group. So he's probably the weakest overall. Although at least you can store his tonfas in the belts. I don't think none of the other turtles got that option to have their weapons on their belts. Pretty sure. Oh no, Michelangelo does. I take it back. We need to go back to Michelangelo. Because Michelangelo has a notch on his belt right here. Can't believe I missed something. You can store all of those things on there. Because they're all the same, you know, width at the handle. But it'd be so weird to store this on there. I mean, Michelangelo looks ridiculous with any of these weapons on his belt, honestly. I mean, how are they supposed to go? Like this is still, I mean, it looks a little bit better. I don't know. Raphael's best at storing his weapons. Leonardo can store his sword too. Just noticed it's got a clip on the back. How did I miss all this stuff? Well, that's what happens when you don't make YouTube videos for like a year and a half, 2 years, however long it's been. Although, how is Leonardo supposed to store that? That is not that good. I wish we had like an entire sheath on the back, you know? Donatello, there's nothing on the back for storing his bow staff. But I'm okay with that because it's not like this is a terrific solution. So Michelangelo and Leonardo get some awesome accessories. Donatello's kind of in the middle. I think Raphael's kind of the weakest. He gets the fewest, and then he can't even hold them right. But overall, ton of accessories, so I am still happy in the end. Okay, now it's scale time. I have tried to stand all 4 turtles up as straight as possible, although with Playmates, that's kind of a challenge in and of itself. Anyways, let's start with Leo. Leonardo stands just under 4.5 inches tall. Michelangelo's a bit shorter, but he is about the same. He's just under 4.5 inches. Donatello comes to exactly 4.5 inches. He's taller than Mikey and Leo. If you count the top of his goggles, he comes to 4.5 inches exactly. If you count the top of his head, it's like 4.25 inches, so he is about the same height as the other two. And then Raphael stands just over 4 3/4 inches. He is almost 5 inches, in fact, so he is the biggest out of all 4. Here they are with some of the original 80s turtles. Michelangelo's got to be in the shot there. He's my favorite turtle, after all. Here they are next to a 2003 Leonardo. Everyone's much shorter than him, except for Raphael. A Mirage Comics Leonardo from Playmates. A Michael Bay movie Leonardo. Here are the 4 new turtles next to my 6-inch Batman and Spider-Man. And then the comparison you've probably been waiting for. Here are all the new Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles next to their 2012 counterparts, their immediate predecessors on Nickelodeon. And for a really unfair comparison, here they are with the best turtle figures ever made, the 2009 NECA releases. Okay, so ultimately these are some cheap, fun figures from Playmates. They're fun, that's the key word, and acceptable, adequate. Whatever I was saying earlier in the video, that's the key word with Playmates, always. These guys are pretty good toys to add to your collection. If you're a Turtles fan, I definitely get them, even if you're not so much a fan of the new show. And I do like the new show. It's just goofy fun. In fact, I feel like the show was kind of made specifically after the toys, like Playmates came up with the toys, and they were like, make a show with these guys, with all the toyetic translucent stuff and the accessories and stuff like that, you know. But the show's good as it is anyway. We already got a dramatic Turtles show from Nickelodeon, and we're going to get dramatic shows in the future. Turtles is never going to end, so don't miss out on these guys. They might be like the next mutation level bad to you, but you'll still want them for the collection in the future. I think, at least. You always got to get the turtles. And I'm not really planning to get the other figures in the line, but the turtles are always awesome. I do love them. So I hope to make some new videos soon, guys. I know I've been away for a long time, and I've got a bunch of toys just left unopened I've got to get to unboxing soon. So hopefully you'll see some reviews from me in the near future, a bunch of NECA stuff and Marvel Legends and things like that. Well, that's pretty much it. Have a Cowabunga day, dudes. And until next time, peace out, YouTube.